Hi Virgo, I hope that you're all doing well. What I'm seeing be going on within the energy right now is you working on something that is definitely taking time to build. It feels like a steady, slow progression that's taking place, and it's something that you can't really rush through. You kind of have to be down for the process. And I think right now it can be getting kind of challenging. It can be getting kind of difficult when you are in a cycle where you're building something that's going to be magnificent. However, you're in the process of still building that out. It can test your faith. I think we can really question, like, is it worth it to be putting all of this effort in only for it to be like, sometimes it feels so little, like I'm only making so little progress here, even though it's like a steady flow of progress. It just feels like a little bit at a time, and you can be in one of those phases right now where you can be trying to like reconnect with your inspiration, like, why am I doing this? Reconnecting with your purpose. I really am seeing you be on track, but I think overall it can be a time where you're like, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I can keep doing this. Is it going to be worth it to me? And you can really have like some doubt be setting in, and you can feel like a lack of passion maybe a little bit right now. I think that it's a time when you can be feeling more tired, and you can be, again, like trying to reconnect with like, why did you start doing this in the first place? Like, what are you doing? Trying to zoom out a little bit, because it can just be like kind of a rough patch, I think, that you're facing. And maybe you're feeling, I don't know if it's just like doubt or you're feeling kind of depleted. But I see the circumstances that you're in feel challenging, and you can feel like you're just getting by right now a bit. We're starting off with King of Wands. Long-term steady growth is the game right now, for sure. You just went through something difficult. Do we want to get into that? I'm seeing you moving on from it, though. So there's a challenging cycle that you just closed out. I feel there being a weight on you, like there's responsibility on you, and that can be a lot of pressure. So even though I am seeing things move forward, okay, and quickly, I'm seeing you're definitely gonna get through it. I feel kind of a situation where you're taking charge of things within your life, within especially specifically this situation that you've been in. You just went through something difficult. I think that why something like this will feel challenging is because you kind of have to step up and show up, and you can't shy away. So this can be like, I had to make a difficult call, or I had to stand up for myself, or I had to be the one that took ownership and really was in charge, and like became fully present in whatever that situation was, where you may have had to do something where it's like, rather than just like going along with things, you may have needed to stand firm within your energy and like what you believed was right in that scenario, and how you should be holding yourself and how you should be showing up. And it feels like something where it was just a challenging circumstance for you to be involved in that situation, but you also feel like you kind of have to do that. I get that more than anything. And even though I am seeing like the situation, it's technically over, but you can feel kind of rough after going through that. And I don't know if it's just like you're learning how to step into this part of your energy, but this is a part of you that you're not going to be bossed around. And I think that's part of what can be difficult, is because you kind of have to like hold your weight here in a circumstance like this. And if you're growing into this part of you right now, and you're developing this part of you that can be kind of like a leader, and that you're going to be, I think, like trusting your own instinct, and you're not going to be easily persuaded by anyone else's energy. you really have to become comfortable taking up space, comfortable saying no, comfortable saying this is what's going to be happening, you know, like these sorts of things where you're taking charge within the energy. And I think you just went through something where that part of you was challenged, but it seems like you stood within it and you did what you needed to do here, and that you are moving forward, and that you're going to see that there's a reason why this is a good thing that you're doing. You know, when you feel like I need to start showing up in this way, I think that it's important. You go through a circumstance that challenges that, but then you stay within the energy, you stand within the energy. You're going to see something good unfold long term because of this, but that doesn't mean that it's not difficult to be doing this. And I think before we can see things getting better, it can feel like it's worse, because you can be finally putting your foot down in some way. You can be finally standing up. You can be finally taking charge in some way. And to be having that happen now at this point, I get this thing of like not being pushed around. So I'm not going to be pushed around. Having that energy come through, I think, I'm trying to like get to the point of what I'm seeing within the energy. It's like, you know how it's difficult to go through a workout, but then your muscles are going to be stronger because of it? It's kind of that concept here with you doing this, where you go through something, it feels challenging, it feels exhausting to move through, and you're like, why am I even doing this in the first place? But then you're going to start seeing your muscles. And you're going to be like, oh, now I'm seeing the proof of like why I was doing that, and I was right all along to do that, but it's just challenging to build that. And that's the place that I'm seeing you be in. And I'm also seeing Cancer here. Cancer is an energy, especially like fire in Cancer. We can want to assert ourselves, but have a difficult time doing that and being direct. Because Cancer can tend to be indirect in the way that we deal with things. And so when we have a King of Wands, we do have to be direct, but it may be something where you're learning to embrace this, and it may not be something that feels like it's, you know how we all have different things that are easier to tap into? I don't think that this is an energy that's the easiest for you to tap into. However, it feels like it's important at this stage for you to be showing up in this way and developing this part of your energy, and you're going to be better off for it, and so is everybody else around you. But that doesn't mean that it's easy to cultivate. I think that this relationship with yourself, you can have a difficult time being assertive at times in a direct way, I think, and in a consistent way, I think. And so it can be like this type of thing that's in the process of developing, but you can be learning a lot, but it can be uncomfortable at the same time. It feels like growing pains that you're going through right now, Virgo. But you're learning how to do it, and that's really what matters. And you're going to see good outcomes because of this. Stuff that you'll be like, it pays off. It's going to be okay. This can be like difficult confrontations that had to happen for some of you. It can be like dialogue. It's like an interpersonal thing that's been having to happen, where I think you've really had to be using your voice here. There may be a balance too, where you need to be direct, you need to be clear, you need to be articulate, but you also have to be maybe like emotionally sensitive. That can be something too, and that can be kind of a difficult line to straddle here. This is gonna have to be in like some big area of your life currently. Somewhere where you hope for things to be stable and secure, and this is the process of building that. But yeah, I think you needed to like say something here that maybe wasn't easy to say, or show up in a way that maybe wasn't easy to do, but you could have felt like for the bigger picture you have to do this. It's necessary. I wonder too if part of this is being protective over what it is that you're establishing within your life too. And if you're not doing this, you can feel like it's going to disintegrate things that are important to you, and you don't be wanting that to happen. But I do feel like you had to show up in a way that, again, like, I don't think that you're the most comfortable right now doing this, but you had to do it, and you had a good reason for needing to do this. but it may have just like been really difficult, and the situation can still kind of be sticking with you energetically a bit, even though I'm seeing technically like the actual situation is over. You're not in it anymore, like moving around within it anymore. Whatever that like instance was that was going on, I'm seeing it be finished, but I'm still seeing it kind of leave a mark at this point. Even though you can feel like you showed up and did what you needed to do, you can feel almost like you lost or were kind of like beaten down, but I'm not seeing that, because I'm seeing the point of how you needed to show up, you succeeded in doing that. So however, you may have other feelings about it, but I'm seeing you actually did succeed in this circumstance. And there's something here about not holding yourself back, like you really had to act. You are changing and developing in a big way. I'm seeing there be more self-trust. Okay, so whatever this was that you were moving through, for most of you, this looks like an interpersonal thing. I'd say that this has to do with like a relationships, another person or other people can be involved in this, and it's like about how you're showing up. I'm seeing that even though this feels like something difficult that needed to be done, you can feel like, you know, I'm like definitely noticing a pattern here. Having both Libra and Cancer, I think that if I had to pick any of the energies within the zodiac that may have a difficult time like being direct and kind of like, I don't know if confrontational is the right word, but it's just like being direct and being assertive, I'd say the energies that probably have the most difficult time with that would be Libra and Cancer, if any. And that's not a slight, it's just like we all have different ways of doing things, and when we are not fully developed in those energies, we can have a difficult time showing up, because like with Cancer, it's like we don't want to hurt other people's feelings, and we can be so empathetic that we then become pushovers, and we actually aren't okay with things that are going on, but we can kind of let things go by because we feel uncomfortable fully having to address it, because we don't want to step on anybody's toes. And Libra can be doing the same thing. So you have to work with these energies in a way where you're developing them and they're becoming like more evolved. And when we have that, it means like if something's not okay, that you're addressing it. If something needs to be done, it's like rather than having something go on and you being like, no, whatever, it's fine, and then you're mad about it later when you really should have just stepped up and said something. This is about saying the thing at the time in the moment. And it can be something that you're learning how to do. It cannot feel easy to learn how to do, but I'm seeing you starting to develop a sense of confidence in yourself that I don't think you really had before. And it's because you're pushing yourself in circumstances like this to kind of like do better and to evolve, so you don't have to walk around and be like, I should have said something, but I just like wasn't brave enough, or I felt too uncomfortable and I wouldn't get outside of my comfort zone. So now there's like, I just see you going through a time of major transformation in your life, and you can feel like there are aspects of your personality that you're beginning to develop that weren't before. And I think the reason why that happens is because in life we have different areas that we focus on and we develop. Now is time for your more assertive energy to be developing and coming out. Kind of against all odds too, because you could have even grown up in a situation where that was not encouraged within you. It could have been like actively discouraged in some way, where you needed to be more demure, something like this. Now you can be stepping into an energy where it's like, if I need to say something, if I need to do something, you can even feel like it's your responsibility now at this point, and you would feel like you'd be negligent in some way to not show up like this. So I feel like there's a circumstance that you're in where you're learning how to show up, you're learning how to be assertive, you're learning how to be direct, you're learning how to address things efficiently. And part of that means having to do difficult things that you can walk away and be like, ouch, that really hurt, but I like the way that I showed up in that circumstance. And so you're going to feel better about yourself too, and you're going to feel more confident in yourself and like trusting your gut and trusting your feeling and knowing that you actually can thrive in situations like this and that you can like adequately handle them. Because maybe before you'd be in situations like this and you'd be like, it's just not something that I can handle. Can't somebody else do it? And now it feels like looking around and knowing you're the one that has to be doing this. And that's becoming more and more apparent. So I think like these old parts of you, you're kind of shedding at this point. And there's developing that's happening. You're really coming into your own. I'm definitely seeing that. This means too that if you're in situations that were putting you down or like minimizing you in some way, you're doing something about that. Like you're not being walked all over. I get that. Like not being stepped on, stepped all over. Like this is something that you're working with too within the energy. And these have to do with like bigger goals that you're connecting with as well. This is like your life in your hands. What you're building and what you're achieving. And so anything that's going to be standing in the way of you doing that, like maybe you have more of a sense of conviction now, even. That can be something that's coming up too, where you don't want to be pushed around within the energy, and you do have goals and you're not going to let things stand in the way of you accomplishing them. Like you want things to be a particular way, and this feels like ensuring that that happens, knowing that you can't just be a bystander and think that things are going to fall into place. Like sometimes action is required, and this is about reading the room and knowing when you need to do that, even if it's not the most comfortable thing. But yeah, it's like it's definitely for a bigger reason why you've been doing this. Something too is that I see you getting more in touch with what keeps you in a place of balance versus what will take you out of feeling centered and harmonious within yourself. And that being something that you're becoming aware of, and this can be included in social settings too. Like how you feel is appropriate for you to be showing up, what exactly you want to get involved in, how you want to get involved in things, and how to move through things in a way that you feel good about, where you're not being like pushed over or pummeled in some way that then makes you want to avoid social interactions altogether. And so I'm seeing you expressing yourself more and expressing and not holding back so much and being more clear. And that this is building confidence. You will notice that for sure. And that you can also feel more at peace within yourself because of it. And I think that may be like an unexpected thing that's coming from this. You're showing up for yourself, and then you're feeling better at the end of the day and realizing that that's another very good reason why this is something that you're doing. Like this actually benefits you to be doing. This can also be about like bringing more peace into your life too. Yeah, it looks like something got out of control and you had to handle it. You had to deal with it. This means something could have gotten out of control. It could have been like really out of whack, could have been in some way out of order, and it needed to be stopped. I'm seeing that. But yeah, I get the sense of you having to step in to do this. Because it feels like it was keeping you from... It was keeping you stuck in some way. But now I'm seeing you have the breakthrough. I think that this can also be, you know, like having Cancer connected to it. It can be having to do with thinking like Cancer, fourth house. It can be family. It can have to do with your emotions. It can have to do with your moods and your mental health. It can have to do with like balances, imbalances, all within you. And I think like what's going on the emotional front and connections as they are related to that for you. Because now it can be like you understand the strategy that you need to use in order to move forward. Because I even feel like you figured out how to, when you're in a situation like this, you've like cracked the code in figuring out how to work through it. I think that this is more an emotional challenge than anything. Like if I had to pick one area of life where I think this could have been most difficult for you, I think it is on the emotional front, actually. So there's a lot of having to sort through that to gain the clarity that you need. And yeah, I am seeing something about there being a responsibility when it comes to the way that you are communicating and using your voice. And I'm also hearing what you're representing. And that this is helping you stabilize things, especially on a like mental level for you, like mental health level can be. And that you're learning how to successfully move through your interpersonal situation. So I think overall this has to do with you working with other people, you working with yourself, and learning how to be diplomatic while also not like avoiding or running away from the things that you need to address. So it's teaching you that balance, because it's not saying like I either run away or I'm too heavy-handed. And maybe that's also part of it too. Maybe you feel like you were going between like both of those, which can also be something with the energy too. When we have Cancer involved, it can be like I don't say a thing and I'm really not okay with what's going on, or I am very heavy-handed and it was too much. And the amount is not being regulated. This is like teaching you something. And I'm not saying you feel like you have this totally figured out yet. I'm saying that you're in the process of figuring this out. And I feel like you just went through some type of circumstance that challenged you. It's been some type of learning curve that you've been in, where you're learning like what the right amount of pressure is to apply when you're in a situation like this. Like just how direct and how assertive to be when you're in a situation like this, to not overdo it and to not underdo it. There's something about getting the balance right that I'm seeing you be in the process of. But I'm definitely getting this be like a very big change for you. This can be something that was not really happening before, that now you are more open to kind of expanding and evolving in this way. And that it's like you're somewhere where you want to be doing things that you want to be doing and not letting things get in the way of that. But it means that you have to get outside of your comfort zone, and you have to be open to developing and doing things in a new and different way if you want the gratification of those changes, which I think that you're starting to see now. Because I get something again about like your confidence is starting to build, and I think you're starting to see yourself more clearly, and that it will keep developing and it will keep getting better. But I do see this being like a more drawn out process for you that you've been moving through. All right, my friends, we are going to leave the reading here. I would like to thank everyone for connecting. Thank you for tuning in. I'm sending everybody love, and I hope to catch you guys next time.